It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Syrian scenario possible in Ukraine. Russia warns. A potential false flag chemical attack would trigger a probe to blame Moscow using fabricated evidence, the military says. Moscow has accused the Ukrainian authorities of plotting to use weapons of mass destruction to frame Russian military. Kind of sounds familiar, right? Now let me remind you that Ukraine, who is currently under United States influence, I believe is doing this because the United States have done this before. Okay, now we gotta remember, right? Remember when the United States was using different agent provocateur groups to try to dethrone Assad in Syria? What was one of the United States' main tactics in Syria? Using agent provocateurs to release chemical weapons on civilians in Syria, so the United States could have a reason to blame Assad for the chemical weapon attacks, in order to take Assad down from power, and so the United States could set up their puppet leader in Syria. But that plan failed. And now what we're seeing is that Ukraine that is under United States influence, they're basically trying to use the same tactic that the United States did on Syria. So if there is a chemical weapons attack in Ukraine, or if there is a weapons of mass destruction in Ukraine, you better best believe that one or two things happened. The United States is behind it, or the United States gave Ukraine those kind of weapons to release a false flag to blame Russia for the attack. Moscow had accused the Ukrainian authorities of plotting to use weapons of mass destruction to frame the Russian military. It says the incident would be used to trigger a Syrian scenario investigation to falsify evidence and assign blame. Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, the head of the Russian Radiation, Chemical and Biological Protection Force, said on Wednesday. The Russian Ministry of Defense has information about the preparation of provocations with the goal of accusing Russian armed forces of using weapons of mass destruction, followed by a Syrian scenario. So a weapon of mass destruction will be like an atomic bomb, a hydrogen bomb, etc., etc. And we know the United States actually have weapons like that. It says, followed by a Syrian scenario investigation which allows the necessary evidence to be fabricated and blame to be assigned, Kirillov said, apparently in a reference to the events surrounding the alleged 2018 chemical attacks in Duma, Syria, which those chemical attacks was carried out by the United States through agent provocateurs, which was hired and set up by the CIA, which we know the CIA is set up by the United States. At the time of the United States, United Kingdom and France, United Kingdom and France immediately blamed the government in Damascus and launched strikes on Syrian territory before the investigation could take place. The subsequent probe by the OPCW, which also pinned the blame on Damascus, was marred by inconsistencies and a whistleblower scandal. Kiev was preparing to stage a chemical incident well before the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine broke out in the late February, the official said. The high probability of such propagation is confirmed by the request of the Kiev administration for the supply of personal protective equipment for the skin and respiratory organs, which provides protection against toxic chemicals and biological agents, he added. So, rumor has it that they are asking for PPE, which will be a personal protective equipment for the skin, which protects against chemicals, and respiratory equipment would be like a gas mask or a chemical mask or a hazmat chemical helmet to protect your organs from chemicals or biological agents. Okay, so hey, get ready, because Ukraine is they're probably going for desperate measures at this point. But however, we on the other hand, we are not to be as these other people out here, because we already know these people out here are going to be taken by surprise. They're going to hear about it on the news one day, and they're going to be like, "Oh my God, how can Russia do that?" Because ultimately, they want Russia to be painted to look like the bad guys here, so to speak. But as for us brothers in the truth, we should know better, Well, we're not to fall for such, child's play. We know all about the devil's, we know all about how the devil plays, man. Ephesians 5 verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools but as wise. You walk circumspectly by measuring the time diligently. Okay? Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. And the word circumspect means circular, and then spect, which means to walk. The word spect, which means to watch. You're watching your surroundings, If there is a chemical attack, know that it was not Russia who did it. 2 Corinthians 2 verse 11. My bad. 2 Corinthians 2 verse. Okay, whatever. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Right, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. The media is one of Satan's greatest devices. And a matter of fact, the media is how, the so-called white man, who is our adversary on this planet, which is where you get Satan from, goes back to the Hebrew word shaitan, which means adversary. Our main adversary on this planet is the so-called white man. Our adversary on this planet is the so-called white man. And one way our adversary tries to get a foothold over the people is through his media, by lying to the people through his media, as you see here. Okay? Syrian scenario possible in Ukraine, Russia warns, And this is no more than Satan's devices. Launching an attack, rather if it's false flag, rather if it's real, and then putting the blame on another country. So don't be ignorant of Satan's devices. And when you look up that word device, it goes back to the Greek word naima, which means evil scheme or purpose. And there's an evil scheme or purpose behind these staged chemical attacks, if there is a staged chemical attack in Ukraine. So with that, I'm going to say Shalom is on to the next one.